It's 2 in the morning. Your coding agent is halfway through a refactor. It finally understands. And then the screen prints the 5 worst words in modern programming. You have hit your limit. Come back in 3 hours. The train just stopped on the tracks. Tonight, I'm showing you the setup the open source world has been quietly building to make that message impossible. 2 repositories. The first is OpenCode, a free MIT licensed coding agent with 187,000 stars on GitHub. The second is OmniRoute, a free gateway with over 20,000 stars that takes every AI provider on Earth, 268 of them, more than 90 with free tiers, and turns them into one endpoint on your own machine. Wire them together, and you get a coding stack you own completely. That can run on free tokens, and that switches providers in milliseconds when one cuts you off. Their slogan is literally never stop coding. I'll give you the exact setup, command by command. Then the green signals, where this genuinely shines. And then the red ones, including the one that has gotten real users banned, which nobody covering these tools seems to mention. Everything, including every command and a print ready checklist, is in a free PDF. Comment the word junction, and my bot sends it to you. Let's walk the yard. First, why this setup exists at all. Right now, most AI coding runs on rented seats. You pay 20, 100, $200 a month for an agent tied to one company's models. When you hit the quota wall, you wait. When they reroute your traffic to a different model, you take what you're given. And in February, the rules got sharper. Anthropic updated its terms so that consumer subscription tokens can't be used inside third-party tools anymore. The enforcement landed in April. Overnight, every alternative coding agent lost the cheap ride. If you want Claude inside them, you pay full API rates. The open source answer has 2 parts, and tonight's 2 repos are exactly those parts. Part 1, own the locomotive. That's open code. The agent itself, free, yours, model agnostic. Part 2, own the junction. That's OmniRoute, the routing layer that decides, request by request, which of 268 providers pulls your train. Own both, and no single company can stop you mid-journey. Let's meet the locomotive first. OpenCode calls itself simply the open source coding agent. It started at SST and now lives under Anomaly. 187,000 GitHub stars as of this week, MIT licensed. Moving absurdly fast. About 10 releases in the first half of July alone, and version 1.18 just completed a full desktop app. So it's a terminal interface, a desktop app, or an IDE extension. Your choice. Under the hood, it's provider agnostic by design. Over 75 providers through one abstraction, plus local models. It has the serious agent features. A plan mode you flip with tab, so it proposes before it touches. Sub-agents, including a read-only explore agent for your code base, and a scout that researches documentation. A /undo command that actually rolls back. Share links for any session. And a GitHub integration, where you type /oc in a pull request comment, and the agent works inside your own GitHub Actions runner. On Hacker News, a user called Scotsman summed up the vibe. An 8-year TUI. Basically an open Claude code. And another, Jeremy_K, said he was blown away watching it write tests, run them, see the failures, and loop back on its own. That's the locomotive. Beautiful machine. But a locomotive still needs fuel, models. And that's where the second repo changes the economics. OmniRoute is 5 months old. Created in February by Diego Souza, a developer in Sao Paulo. And already at 20,600 stars, hitting number 1 on GitHub trending at the end of June. Here's the thing most people get wrong. It is not a cloud service like OpenRouter. There's no account, no markup, no company in the middle. It's a gateway that runs on your own machine. One process, one dashboard, and one OpenAI compatible endpoint on localhost. Behind that endpoint, 268 providers, over 500 models: Claude, GPT, Gemini, Kimi, DeepSeek, and more than 90 providers with free tiers. Their documentation counts roughly 1.5 billion documented free tokens per month across those tiers. Their approximation, and they say so. Your keys stay local, encrypted at rest. Then the two signature tricks. 1. Routing. 18 strategies. But the headline is a model called Auto. You ask for Auto, and it picks the best available route. And when a provider dies mid session, it cascades. Subscription first, then API keys, then cheap providers, then free ones. They claim an 8 millisecond average failover, their dashboard number, not an independent benchmark, so hold it loosely. 2. Compression. Tool outputs, get diffs, logs, test dumps, get squeezed before they write to the provider. 15 to 95% token savings, they claim, averaging around 89% on tool heavy sessions. Again, their numbers. But the mechanism is open source. You can read every line of it. That's the signal tower. Now, let's actually build the junction. Setup. 2 installs, and I'll flag every trap I know about. Install 1, the locomotive. 1 line in your terminal. Curl the install script from opencode.ai, pipe it to bash. Or use npm or homebrew if you prefer. Done. Install 2, the signal tower. npm install -g OmniRoute. Then type one word, OmniRoute, and it starts. Trap number 1. It wants a recent node, version 22 or 24 on a current patch. If it refuses to start, update node first. Their own troubleshooting doc says that's the most common failure. Now open localhost, port 20128, and you're standing inside the dashboard. Providers on the left, routing in the middle, usage on the right. Connect your first providers. A few free ones need no sign up at all. For the rest, you click connect, sign in to the provider, and the key lands in your local vault. Connect your paid accounts too, if you have them. Remember, the keys stay on your machine. Last step here. Go to the endpoints page and copy your OmniRoute API key. On a purely local setup, it's a placeholder, literally SK underscore OmniRoute. Both machines are now idling. Time to couple them. The coupling is one command. And this is the part almost nobody covering these tools shows you. In your terminal, OmniRoute config OpenCode -- base URL localhost 20128 -- API key, your key. That's it. It writes OpenCode's config file for you. And it merges politely. So any providers you already had stay untouched. Look inside the file. It's at .config/opencode/opencode.json. And you'll see exactly what happened. A new provider called OmniRoute, pointing at your localhost endpoint /v1 with a starter catalog of models. Now, my one strong recommendation: add one more model to that list, named simply Auto. That single word exposes OmniRoute's whole routing brain inside OpenCode. You stop choosing models and start choosing outcomes. Launch OpenCode, open the model picker, and there it is. OmniRoute, sitting next to your other providers with Auto at the top. 2 traps before you ride. On Windows, there's a known open issue, number 3330, where the generator writes the config to the wrong folder. If the provider doesn't appear, check that the file landed in your .config directory. And if you set this up long ago and get 404 errors, old configs sometimes doubled the /v1 in the URL. Just rerun the generator, it regenerates clean. That's the whole build. One agent, one junction, every model behind one picker. So what does it actually feel like when the wall comes? You're deep in a session, riding a free tier, and the provider throws a quota error. Here's the sequence under the hood. The circuit breaker trips on that provider. The router consults the fallback ladder. Subscription accounts first, then API keys, then cheap providers, then the free pool, and resends your request down the next open track. Your agent never sees the failure. The next token just arrives from somewhere else, and the compression story compounds it. The biggest token hog in agent coding isn't your prompts, it's tool output. Every git diff, every log dump, every test run rides the wire on every single request. OmniRoute squeezes exactly that before it leaves your machine, and there's a guard that discards the compression whenever it would somehow make the prompt bigger. Squeeze the freight, and the same free tier hauls 5, 10, sometimes 20 times more work. One honest caution before you trust any of the numbers on the dashboard: the 8 milliseconds, the 99% success rate, the 89% savings, all self reported by the project. Independent benchmarks don't exist yet. The project is 5 months old. What I can tell you is that the mechanism is real, open, and readable. And the users are reporting that the never stop coding promise mostly holds. Mostly. We'll get to the exceptions in the red signal section. Hold on. The departure board is flipping. One extra route just appeared, and it costs nothing to board. Real talk. 90% of you watching haven't subscribed. On Facebook, subscribe is the supporter button. That is what keeps the lights on here. On YouTube, it's free and it tells the algorithm to send you more. Subscribe to support us. And if these deep dives save you real money, YouTube membership is the first class carriage. That's how you say so. The builds live on Instagram too, at Hyperautomation Labs. Boards clear, back to the yard. The green signals, what's genuinely great here, receipts included. Signal 1, the price of the machinery is 0. Both repos are MIT licensed. No seat rent, no gateway markup, no lock-in. The entire toolchain is yours, forever. Signal 2, privacy of your keys. Everything sits on your machine, encrypted. There's no company between your prompt and the provider taking a copy. Signal 3, the actual never stop coding effect. Quota walls stop being session enders and become route changes. That's the killer feature. Signal 4, freedom of models. On Hacker News, a user called Graber_28927 said the best part is that it's model agnostic. He runs OpenCode off the GitHub Copilot subscription he already pays for. Signal 5, the money is real and people post receipts. A user called Spew logged an entire evening of agent coding on a cheap routed model for 52 cents. Another, Rage Bowl, ran 3 weeks of daily work through OpenCode and a gateway for under $25. And M_KE says the new wave of open models gets him frontier level output for less than $5 a day, down from a $200 plan. Different gateways, same pattern. Routed cheap models plus an agent you own. And Signal 6, momentum. I checked the star counts myself. OmniRoute went from 13,000 to over 20,000 stars in the last 12 days. The yard is filling up fast. Now, turn around. Because the other half of this video is the part the hype videos skip. Red signals. Part 1. The gateway tax. This is the technical price of putting anything between your agent and the model. And almost nobody tells you about it. The big one is tool calling. An agent isn't chatting. It's issuing tool calls. Read this file, run this test. Route those through the wrong provider and they quietly degrade. A Hacker News user, Solarcraft, described running Kimi through a router in OpenCode. Within a few turns, it would run off and mess something up. Terrible instruction following. On OmniRoute's own tracker, a user called Paolo Lalap connected one of the web cookie providers, the ones that pretend a chat website is an API, and found his agent could not read his codebase at all. The maintainer's answer was honest. Web cookie providers can't do real tool calling. Some ignore tool definitions entirely. So burn this in. For agent work, free tiers of real APIs, never the web cookie routes. Second, silent downgrades. One user, iHanatos, selected maximum reasoning effort and caught the gateway, logging it as medium. His fix was encoding the effort straight into the model alias. Third, When routing breaks, it can break spectacularly. Early on, a user called Paraflu pointed OpenCode at a keyless free tier, hit an infinite retry loop of authentication errors, and the logs filled his entire disk. The maintainer called it a self inflicted denial of service and shipped a fix. But the lesson stands. And OpenCode itself isn't innocent. A top commenter on its biggest thread, LogicProg, measured the terminal app eating a gigabyte of memory, and for a few versions, prompts flowed to a free grok tier, one that trains on your data by default until users caught it and an opt out shipped. None of this kills the setup. All of it argues for one habit: test your route on a small task before you trust it with a big one. Red signals, part 2, the red zone. This is the part I'd want someone to tell me before I typed a single command. Start with trust. OmniRoute is 5 months old with one primary maintainer. Every impressive number on that dashboard, the 8 millisecond failover, the 99% success rate, is self reported. And when I went looking for independent validation, I found something telling. Essentially, zero footprint on Reddit or Hacker News. The entire community lives in its own GitHub discussions. That doesn't make it bad, it makes it unverified. The community has already caught real overclaims. The README once promised a free, unlimited, never fails Claude route. A user called Powell Norma challenged it, and the maintainer admitted it was actually about 50 credits per month per account and corrected the docs. Credit where due, he corrected it. But the biggest red light is the terms of service. Pooling free tiers through a proxy violates several providers' rules. OmniRoute's own documentation says so, and flags caution on more than 19 providers. The consequences are not theoretical. On the issue tracker, a user called Mohit Labs reported connecting his AI coding account and being banned almost immediately, flagged for suspicious activity. Another user replied with one word: same. The maintainer closed it as an upstream issue. Technically true and completely beside the point if it's your account. And the project openly ships a stealth guide: TLS fingerprint spoofing to imitate official clients, whose own text documents accounts banned for using one of its flags. So here is the rule I'd stake my channel on: never connect an account you cannot afford to lose. Serious subscriptions stay in their official tools. The free tier pool is for throwaway accounts. If a provider's terms say no proxies, believe them. So, which track is yours? 3 routes out of this station. Track 1, the clean start. If you're new, skip OmniRoute entirely for now. Install OpenCode alone, run/connect, and pick their Zen gateway. Curated, tested models, including a genuinely free one, with zero setup and zero terms of service drama. Even OpenCode's creator pitches Zen as no tool, parsing errors, no random stops. 10 minutes, and you have a real agent. Track 2, the full junction. You're comfortable in a terminal, you prototype constantly, and API builds sting. Build tonight's setup exactly as shown. Ride the free pool through providers that allow it. Keep auto as your model, compression on, and honor the red zone. Throw away accounts, only in the gray areas. And real API free tiers, never web cookie routes. Track 3, the Pro Hybrid, and this one has math behind it. A Hacker News user, Blitzar, tracked his $20 Claude subscription, consuming $131 of API equivalent value in a month. Subscriptions are subsidized, so canceling one to save money can be a trap. Keep the Frontier model in its official tool for the hard 20% of your work. Route the boring 80%. Renames, tests, boilerplate, weekend experiments through the junction, where tokens are cheap or free. Here's the sentence to take home: you are no longer renting a seat on somebody else's train. You own the locomotive and you own the junction. And ownership means you read the signals yourself. Tell me in the comments which track you're taking: 1, 2, or 3. I read every reply and I'll go first. I'm on track 3. Your ticket home is printed, the Junction Pass, a free PDF with the full build, every install command, the exact coupling command, the finished config file, the auto model trick, a table of the biggest free tiers with their real limits, the ban risk checklist from the red zone, and the 3-track decision guide. Comment the word junction, and my bot sends it straight to you, or take the link in the description. Just getting started with AI coding agents. My paid beginner guides are linked below too. The complete Claude Code Guide, the OpenAI Codex Guide, the Claude Cowork Sales Guide, and the Claude Architect Certification Prep. Step by step, from first prompt to first working system. If tonight's deep dive earned it, subscribe here on YouTube. Membership if you want to fuel the next one. On Facebook, that's the supporter button. And the behind the scenes builds live on Instagram at Hyperautomation Labs. Last thought, the companies will keep moving the walls, quotas, terms, prices. The open source yard keeps laying new track around them. Never stop coding, but read the signals. See you in the next one.